everybody, and welcome to the next race review in the 2025 British Touring Car season. With me is my good friend Ben. Say hello.
Hello!
Yep, we've got him back, ladies and gentlemen. I did say after the last race review, Ben was back, and he is. Just a few things to point out real quick, as per usual. We do have our 2025 British Touring Car playlist. If you want to check that out, it's down in the comments of every video that we do for the race reviews, so you can go check them out. If you've missed any previous ones or want to hear our thoughts, that is the place to go. A couple of things before, in terms of the opening part of the weekend. First and foremost, Nick Halstead missed the entire event apart from FP1 due to a rib operation, so didn't qualify, didn't race at all on race day, so it was one car down basically the whole weekend. Senna Proctor made his outing, his first out in the season, in the place of Michael Kreese before the summer break. He was known to be taking over the second half of the season anyway, but has been brought forward to do Thruxton and Alton Park before the summer break, as well as the second half of the season. So he's now going to be in that car for the rest of the season. So welcome back, Senna Proctor. Qualifying was a wet ordeal. They haven't decided to open 15 minutes before qualifying got underway, so it saw qualifying be a wet ordeal. And once we did get into qualifying, we saw eliminations of De Leon, Smiley, Taylor Smith, Lloyd, Jelly and Osborne. They were the drivers to get knocked out in Group 1. Group 2 saw eliminations of Cook, Morgan, Hall, Moffat, Pearson and Hamilton. During this, Cook had a massive accident, and as such a red flag was thrown. Once we got to part 2, that's aka Q2, whatever you want to call it, we saw Hill, Shedden, Rowbottom, Rainford, Chilton and Patterson go from the pack. And the Fast 6 shootout was going to be interesting because not only did we have Ash Sutton, Ingram and Camish, we had Senna Proctor was now in this lot as well. And in the end, it was Ash Sutton who ended up taking pole position with a 1 minute 20.786. From Ingram nearly 3/10 back and Camish only a few thousandths back behind him. So moving into race 1, we saw a great getaway by Sutton with Ingram hot on his heels. However, further back there was drama as Chilton got into a half spin and Rainford went spinning around and off the road, later rejoining and rejoined them at the back of the pack. Later on the lap we had Maxwell and Sam Osborne go off, which brought out the safety car. This procedure saved Sutton's lead, as during this he got the lead back from Ingram and Doble, despite both of them overtaking him when the safety car was called for. Just for some context in this one, you can race until the first yellow flag you see in most cases, and they did that, and I think it was just a case of Sutton was still ahead before Ingram managed to get ahead of him, so they had to get the lead back and so on. Once the safety car came in on lap 8, it was all hands on deck with Ingram, who immediately challenged Sutton for the lead. Camish, meanwhile, was immediately on a mission against Doble as he flew past him after being pushed wide at the start by Doble. At the end of the lap, it was Ingram who challenged for the lead, and despite a hard defence by Sutton, it was Ingram who came out on top. Lap 9 saw much drama as Shedden got pushed off wide by Proctor, who he himself was in battle with others. Proctor and Hill went into battle against Cook, who also gained in all this as he moved up to 8th place. Lap 11 saw Rowbottom doing the old switchback manoeuvre to get past Dorlin for 5th place. Keep an eye out on Rowbottom because of the fact that Rowbottom used this move on more than one occasion this weekend. This was only the first time he did it. Dorlin's day got worse though, as Hill and Cook also got by on the same lap, meaning he dropped 3 positions in one lap. Cook was really pushing on in this race as he was up to 6th by lap 12. 3 laps later though, he was up to 4th ahead of Doble. In lap 15 we saw Doble go off with what looked to be an engine problem. This was later confirmed by the team. Sutton and Camish swapped places on lap 16 that Camish could challenge Ingram. Cook however was catching Sutton, so who knows if this would actually pay off for Napa. However, Cook threw himself past Sutton to move up into 3rd place on lap 18, meaning he was in the podium position considering where he started after the crash. So it was a great drive by him. Ingram, however, was firmly in the driving seat this time and finally managed to score his first win of the season ahead of Camish and Cook. The race 1 results were Tom Ingram was your race winner, Camish was 2nd, Cook was 3rd with the fastest lap to boot. Sutton was 4th, Rowbottom 5th, Hill 6th, Dorlin 7th, Morgan 8th, Proctor 9th, and De Leon in 10th place. Over to you, Ben, for race 2.
Yeah, so race 2 wasn't, there wasn't a lot that went on, but it was quite an interesting race for a few key points. So it might not sound like I say a lot for this, but it was still quite a good race. So Ingram had a really good start, but then all of a sudden, Sutton just came out of nowhere, went straight past everyone who was in front of him. He just straight flew into the lead. It was insane to watch. I'd say if you want to watch anything from this weekend, just watch Sutton start for race 2. And he flew off and he was just gone. He was completely gone. By the first corner, he's gone. And then for the rest of the lap, he's just gone into the distance. So, catching up to lap 4, Chilton was now in the pits getting a tyre replaced. It turns out later on, the following lap, you see Shedden come in with grass getting taken out front of the car. It turned out that Chilton spun. It was either something to do with his tyres or he spun anyway, which caused problem with his tyres. And avoiding this meant Shedden went into the grass, so he had to come in the pits to get the grass taken out the front of his car so it wouldn't overheat. So, going on to lap 7, Rowbottom has now caught up to Hill, and at this point he's now going right for it, and he gets a nice little similar move to what he did in race 1, funnily enough. Rowbottom doing the same move, and yet again it worked, and he got past Hill. So it's quite funny to see that, there you go, that move never failed him this weekend. Morgan then managed to get past Hill as well after this. I think he sort of took advantage of the fact that Hill was quite open at this point. He got ahead, but then he got spun out because he basically just, the way he got past him was by late braking. He unbraked himself to the point where Hill had no choice but to basically hit him when he got in front of him because Morgan had broke that late where he was struggling to make the corner with 2 people there and a chicane. So he then spun slightly and then had to use the chicane as sort of like an escape road to carry on round. So at this point Hill got the position back. So lap 8. Doble is now in the pit lane with an overheating car. Funnily enough, it's like I said before, it's the grass sort of in the front of the car. Rowbottom is now again back behind Hill. He'd come off slightly and he now has grass in front of his car, and so does Hill. So at this point, it's like everyone sort of in the middle pack of the race all has a bit of grass in the front of the car from different off-track excursions, and anyone could have a overheating problem at any point, so it's a bit interesting. Lap 11, Rowbottom slipstreams Hill to slingshot himself past on the main straight. He was just gone. He just used him and went, I'm off. And then we now get on to the last lap. Sutton managed to keep 3 seconds ahead of everyone. He still has 2 laps left of boost, which I thought was quite amusing on the very last lap. And he goes on to win. So what an insane race from Sutton, basically. If you want to watch anything of it, like I say, watch how he did that start. It was insane. So yeah, your winner, and with fastest lap, Ash Sutton. Second was Ingram. Third was Rowbottom. Fourth was Camish. Fifth was Hill. Sixth was Senna Proctor. Seventh was Dolan. Eighth was Smiley. Ninth was De Leon. 10th was Lloyd, and the reason why I've not included Cook in this is because afterwards he got a penalty which took him out of the top 10 for race 2. So over to you, Brad, for race 3.
No problem, thanks very much, Ben. So race 3 saw a great start by Jake Hill to jump up into the lead. So James Dorlin was the guy who was put on pole for this one, but it didn't last any more than a few corners. Proctor sank like a stone and fell to 7th in a matter of corners. Camish managed to get ahead of Dolan at the end of the opening lap, which opened the door for Ingram and Sutton behind. Up at the front, though, it was Rowbottom who put a cracking switchback move. Remember, something he'd done a few times already. Managed to get past Hill for the lead in doing so. Dolan looked to be in serious trouble, though, as he started to go slow at the start of lap 4, which ended up being retirement as his car gave up the ghost. Lap 6 looked to be spicy as Sutton put an aggressive move on Ingram to move himself up into 4th place. Cut was up to 18th place from the back by lap 7. If he got a safety car now, then this could help him a lot. And as luck would have it, that's exactly what he got. Morgan got onto the grass on the outside of turn 1 and spun off into the barriers, bringing out the safety car. Once the safety car came in on lap 11, there was more drama as Pearson's bonnet popped open and basically meant he was driving blind. Up at the front, Camish went for the fastest move at the chicane and put himself up into second place. A few corners later, though, it was disastrous. Hill collided with Sutton, dropping them both down the order. Because of the amount of grass in Hill's radiator, it meant that he had to pit immediately, and in turn, this dropped him down the order. Mikey Doble was up to 8th from 21st place, so was on a really good drive so far during all of this. Josh Cook was up into 11th place by the time we got to lap 17 of 18. Ingram managed to power pass Camish for second place and took it with a lap to spare. At the same time, Sutton managed to pass Smile for 5th place. Bear in mind, when he got turned around, he was behind both Restart. Obviously, he was behind Ingram, behind Hill, both Restart, Hyundai's, and Proctor, I think, as well. So he dropped a fair few places. So he was already, the fact that he got back up to 5th was pretty impressive. Rowbottom, however, was unchallenged at the front and took a great win with Ingram and Camish rounding out the podium for the final race of the day. So your race 3 results were Dan Rowbottom was your race winner. Tom Ingram was second with Camish third. Proctor 4th, Sutton 5th, taking the fastest lap for good measure. Smiley 6th, Taylor Smith 7th, Cook 8th, Chilton 9th and Lloyd in 10th due to penalties for Lloyd and Doble that had happened because of track limits and things like that. So what does it do to driver standings? Well, unsurprisingly, Sutton's still at the top of the table. 9 points separate him from Ingram, with Rowbottom now up into 3rd place after his drives for the day. Camish is back in 4th place ahead of Jake Hill in 5th, Morgan 6th, Cook 7th, Chilton 8th, Chris Smiley in 9th, and holding out the top 10 is Charles Rainford. So when it comes to winners from the weekend, Ben, who would you have your money on?
Definitely Ash Sutton. It was insane. Like I say, that race 2 start alone would have made me put him as winner of the weekend. That was just insane. Ingram, yeah, he had quite a good weekend. Finally got one on the board, and he rounded out with really good consistency on the other 2 races, so you can't complain at that. Rowbottom finally got his bit up there as well, which you really can't go wrong with. What I am going to say, and here's a different one, is a person who I didn't think did well this weekend. I want to keep an eye on this year because I don't think they're gelling well with this car, or the team possibly, is Morgan. Now, I want to see what other people think of that and possibly your own view yourself, Brad.
I think he does alright, I'll be honest. I think he's doing okay. He's not doing fantastic. But I know that we're going to Alton Park after this, which is a track that he quite likes, with it being local to him. So I'd say probably give it till after Alton Park to make any sort of judgment. But yeah, I think compared to, we know how good Ingram is. I think he looks about on average the same as Chilton. He doesn't look great, but he doesn't look terrible either. I think he's kind of average. In terms of my winners, though, I'm probably going to add 2 on top of yours. I do agree with ones that you've said. One of them is Josh Cook. Obviously, granted he didn't win anything this weekend, but to get 2 podiums, it was nice to see him actually back on the podium. The car looking strong, especially given the the problems that he had in qualifying. I think that's fairly obvious. But then also, this might be a surprise, Senna Proctor. I think that the chunk of points that he came away with in one weekend for his return to the season, return to the BTCC, should I say, return to the sport. I know that he didn't get a podium or anything like that, but fair play. You're coming back into the sport. You've had a few years out. You're going to front-wheel drive car. The last time he drove this car, it wasn't that good, from memory. So I think he's come back and he's done very, very well. Whether that pace will continue, whether he'll do well going into Alton Park and stuff, that remains to be seen. But for me, for a winner for this weekend, definitely I think Senna Proctor and Josh Cook, at least. But yeah, I think probably Team Napa as well, because
yeah, Team Napa.
2 wins out of 3.
Started to nail it now.
They've got a fair few cars up there. Funnily enough, out of the top 5, 3 of them cars are Napa.
Yeah,
so that tells you everything you need to know.
It doesn't surprise me because it seems they're getting a hang of the way the car is again. Like, they got the hang of the hybrid before everybody else. It seems to get in the hang of the setup for this new sort of era. So it's interesting to see what everybody else does. I think BMW aren't far off on it. I just don't think this was really the track for them.
I think going to Alton Park, I'm expecting BMW to do well because they do tend to do well around there.
Yeah, that is a BMW sort of power track.
It's Alton Park's a different track for a few reasons. I think one of them is the fact that BMW do well there. The second one is Ingram doesn't do too bad. But the third thing, and this is the big one, and people will probably be banking on this, me less so because it's my local track. Granted, I'm about an hour away, but it doesn't matter. Is the fact that I've rarely seen Sutton win there. It's like it's his bogey track.
I'm pretty sure it's his track where he has like issues with it. Sort of the track where it has like a curse for him.
Now, whether that's down to the car setups or what, I don't know. Even in 2023, when he was dominant during that season, he still struggled to win around Alton Park comfortably. And that was a car that was comfortably faster than the rest, I'd say, during that season in particular.
Yeah, that car was really good compared to everyone else.
But with that being said, this is where we will hand it over to you guys. What did you think of the racing at Thruxton? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let us know down in the comments, as always. We will be back in 2 weeks' time once the Alton Park round has finished, and then we'll go into a summer break, of course. And obviously, as well, waving goodbye to Steve Ryder after God knows how many years of him doing commentary. We'll obviously mention a bit about that as the time comes when we get there. Yeah, until then, thank you very much for your continued support. Thank you very much for listening and for watching these videos. And just for letting us know your thoughts in the comments as always. And yeah, we will see you in 2 weeks' time at Alton Park for the next race review. So until then, thanks for watching. Have a good day, evening, night, wherever you are in the world. And yeah, ta-ra.
Bye-bye.